If you're watching on YouTube, I have a graph of Taylor Swift's interest over time worldwide on Google Trends. And we can see in February of 2024, she was at her peak. She was at her maximum. Now she's around half of what she was at in February. And I remember in February, Taylor Swift, the name was inescapable. And now it's at half of what it was. But even now at half of what it was is actually still just as much as her peak back in 2014 or 2012 or 2009. And she had all these peaks at her beginning, and she just kept going and building on the brand and building on the brand. And in the last year, she really spiked in interest. And I remember in February, everybody was talking about Taylor Swift. And I wanted to understand her marketing. As a marketer myself, I wanted to understand what she was doing that was making her so successful. And I couldn't find any good write-ups. I asked friends who are marketers, even friends who liked her, but I wasn't satisfied with the answers. But I actually found this thread, and this thread is from a year ago, and it's on Reddit. It's on the marketing subreddit, and the thread is called "Whoever is handling Taylor Swift's marketing is currently putting on a masterclass performance." And I said, I looked at this, I said, this is what I was looking for in February when she was at her peak hype. When she was at her peak hype, this is what I was looking for. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing on this episode of the podcast. This is the brilliance of Taylor Swift's marketing. And it's a bit of marketing, it's a bit of PR, it's a bit of branding. It's I actually think a lot of compounding, keeping at it for so long. And there's plenty of other musicians who keep at it for a long time, but lots of them make dumb mistakes, whereas Taylor Swift does not. There's a lot of things that she does right, and that's what I'm sharing on this episode of the pod. So this is the thread. It starts, goddamn, she's inescapable. I have heard more about Taylor Swift in the past 2 months than I did from 2009 to 2014 in middle school and high school. The way Taylor has reclaimed such mainstream relevance, again, is impressive. She never faded into obscurity. However, from 2015 to 2022, you barely heard about her unless you were a Swiftie. And it's true, actually. When you look at Google Trends, you see that right there. You see that in trends. She was at some of her lowest levels from this time, from 2015 to 22. Crazy. You barely heard about her unless you were a Swiftie. It seems those who handle her marketing are using every tool at their disposal, the latest of which is the heavy exposure and involvement in NFL games, National Football League games, with the Kansas City Chiefs and her quote-unquote boyfriend Travis Kelce. It's not just this. There's apparently academic researchers now holding quote-unquote academic symposiums discussing Taylor Swift. It seems like twice a week there's a well-placed story like this about Taylor Swift in the news. As overwhelming as it is, I have to give them credit. It's very impressive. It worked. Taylor is apparently still very popular with teenage girls, which is insane to me. It's as if when I was a teenager, girls my age were really into Britney Spears. They weren't. It's as if they were into Taylor Swift. What are everyone's thoughts about this? I've never seen anything like this before. And if anyone sees this who is involved in any of the marketing, do Lady Gaga next. I guess this person's a fan of Lady Gaga. All right, so that was the main write-up, and the comments are really where the strategy is discussed. There are a lot of people saying, she had a big budget. But the thing is, there's plenty of brands who have huge budgets and they still fail. Plenty of musicians who have huge budgets and they still fail. There's a lot of people talking about PR, public relations. One person says, I'd argue a lot of what you're calling marketing is actually PR, public relations. And I like this comment. Someone goes, I would also argue that the NFL PR department is driving the last week and a half more than Team Swift because it directly affects their audience numbers and indirectly jersey/merch sales. They're saying Travis Kelce jersey sales went up 400% since, and some other crazy stats like it. 400% Travis Kelce jerseys are going up. I heard a statistic on NBC News tonight. The game had 2 million more streams than anticipated. That's the power of an active fan base. This is hilarious. This person says, I make sweatshirts/t-shirts and sell them on TikTok Shop as a little side business. The amount of Chiefs era shirts I've sold the last few days is insane. Not complaining, but I do hope this PR thing lasts past the 30-day return window. And I think that's part of what was happening. Remember, this is interesting to me because when she was going so viral, so consistently, I was wondering why, what was happening. And now I'm starting to realize she was bringing in all these new fans to the NFL, or all these new people to the NFL. So it was good for the NFL. So they were going to pump this up for her. And they were both pumping up this relationship because it was great for both brands. So she had the whole National Football League helping to pump her up because she was helping to pump them up. And they were both bringing each other a lot of customers, a lot of attention, a lot of people attending the events, both events, NFL games and Taylor Swift concerts. And it was good for both of them. And it's kind of like, I used to say this a lot, and I just don't say it as much anymore because now I talk so much about the intricacies of search engine optimization. So I don't talk about it as much anymore, but it's still something that I deeply believe. And it's just, if you keep at something for long enough, you will have some life-changing piece of luck. And people will say you got lucky. But truthfully, if you really keep at something diligently for a long time, and you're iterating and you're iterating and you're iterating and you're making changes and you're learning and you're making changes and you're learning and you're using those learnings to make more changes, then what people will see as luck was actually you testing and trying many different things. And I would bet that Taylor Swift has been at it long enough that it's not just luck, that it's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of learning, it's a lot of knowing how to capitalize off something when you have it. Whereas in the past, I've had plenty of things that I could have capitalized off way better and I just didn't know enough. We almost had a TV show. This was, I think, 12 years ago. Me and my friends, we almost got a TV show, but we just didn't know enough. And that was when a TV show would have actually been cool. 12 years ago would have been cool. Now, it doesn't matter. But 12 years ago, it would have been cool to have a TV show. And we just didn't know enough. There were so many things. We were early viral video producers on YouTube. We didn't know enough to just keep going and doing what we were doing. We didn't know back in 2012 that people would become billionaires off YouTube. We didn't know that. And I think when you keep at something for long enough, you start to learn and you figure things out a lot faster and your rate of success compounds. So I wouldn't even call it luck. I would say when you do something for a while, it seems like you're in the right time at the right place, but that's just because you have purposely expanded your surface area for luck to a point where, of course, you're going to get quote unquote lucky, but it's not luck. And I've talked about that on the podcast before. Someone else in the comments said she has a merchandise sales tactic. Taylor Nation is efficient at quote unquote selling out her merch. Her record sales strategies, the variance is brilliant. This is crazy. They sell so much merchandise that the merch truck has to come out days before the concert. And there are massive lines to come buy her stuff. They drive out just to buy her merch without it even being when they are going to the concert. Crazy. That is crazy. And then there are all these social posts about how people are prepping outfits, hair, and makeup to attend the shows. BuzzFeed articles talking about the beads on Taylor Swift's show costumes. There's this one comment here. This is kind of cool because it talks to the effect of repurposing good past content, which I talk about all the time and I do myself all the time. I am constantly putting up successful viral videos that I've had on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and re-putting them up every couple of months. That is a well-tested strategy. And if something gets old, then you give it a year and then you post it in a year and then it's fresh again. Or you just put a new spin on it. You put the date. You say, this happened 1 year ago. I can't believe that was 1 year ago. And it's still crazy to me. And I do that all the time. I discovered the Twitter X ads glitch like a year and a few weeks ago. And I put a post up about it. I said, this was a year ago and it doesn't work anymore, but it was crazy when it did work. The Twitter X ads glitch, if you don't know, I was getting millions of impressions and thousands of link clicks for $1 per day ad spend. So this is what this post says on this thread. Taylor's marketing is phenomenal. It's got to be in large part driven by the team at Republic Records, who, by the way, has been pushing her like crazy simply because they re-recorded her back catalog after a legal dispute with her previous record label. Her Reputation tour, promoting the Reputation album still under Big Machine Records in 2017, was already record-breaking back then. Then she went on a multi-year tour hiatus during COVID, a new record label and IP dispute, and put out 4 new albums. So her team at Republic Records is 100% pushing her marketing over the last 4 years to become the single largest name in music. By releasing new albums, she's a Gen Z phenomenon. By re-recording her old stuff, she's reminding Gen X, sort of, and millennials definitely why they love her. All of that equals record-setting tour numbers and the ability to roll it into outlandish sponsorship deals. I think branding is also a big part of this. She's great at branding, and there's a lot. It's a master class in branding. So one person said, it's the big effing concert tour. It's everywhere. Now it's global. It's coming to theaters soon. Also, she's really good at singing and performing, so it makes it a lot easier to market. She's easy on the eyes. She gave away $55 million in bonuses to her workers, which is amazingly awesome. I mean, that's going to catch the media's attention. Talking to a football player that recently won the Super Bowl, but this doesn't really matter. She could be tying her shoes and it will be all over Yahoo News. Someone else commented, and this is also about branding. She's good at singing and performing, but not the best. She's easy on the eyes, but not the most amazing looking out there. It's the brand she's been able to cultivate and the timing of it. Timing-wise, she's been able to both be a top 5 artist for millennials and for Gen Z. I'd maybe throw in a few of the younger Gen X in there too. With Gen X and millennials, you have a whole swath of people with disposable income wanting to go to her show. With Gen Z, you have less disposable income, but a greater willingness to go to the shows. While Gen X and millennials are saving money, raising kids, or paying mortgages, Gen Z can just go to a show. All told, and boom, you get $1,200 tickets. Branding-wise, she's been genius to cultivate a brand of being every woman's quote-unquote best friend. Her songs are all a form of girl talk. Whether it's someone you're very in love with, a breakup that you're going through, or whatever, Taylor's been there and she has a song for you. Plus, she's attractive enough that you want to go to a bar with her, but non-threatening enough that she's a good wingwoman, not the one to swoop in on your bae or take all the attention away from you. So credit to her because she's carved out a niche that appeals to like 80% of women out there, even if she's not exactly the best at any one thing. A lot of people are saying the relationship that she has with Travis Kelce is intentional. I personally won't comment on that, but that is a lot of speculation in this, and undoubtedly it has helped. But she's great at so many things and has made so many good moves, and there's so much to learn from. She's a solid role model, and she's showing girls and women everywhere that they too can rage against the machine and win. That's what one of the commenters wrote. I'll say this. I really did want to know what was making her so inescapable at the beginning of this year, because it really did feel like nonstop I was hearing about her everywhere. And now I have a good understanding looking at this thread of why that happened. My takeaways are that the NFL was boosting her because she was boosting the NFL and they were boosting each other. So that helped a lot. She's consistently been great at branding. So she has a consistently strong brand, giving away $55 million to her staff. I'm not even sure when that was, but that is a great branding move. And her label has been pushing her for 4 years, still 4 years. She re-recorded her back catalog while putting out new albums, so has been prolific. But she's also been at it for so long. Looking at her on Google Trends, the name Taylor Swift starts rising in August 2006. August 2006 is when it starts. And it has its first spike September 2009. And it gets at its highest point ever in February of this year, 2024. So there's just such tremendous power in compounding and keeping at it. And she's smart. Clearly very smart. Great at marketing, great at branding, great at PR. And so that's the takeaway. A bunch of different things, but like keep at it. Oh my gosh, because what is possible if you do is ridiculous. And now I have my answer. Now I know what has made Taylor Swift so successful in the last year. This is all for episode 423 of my daily marketing podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.